What'd you like about Nate today and handling a new role to start the year?
Oh, you guys, it started with your guys' observation yesterday. We got 3 Northerners or 3 cold weather as far as their birthplace pitchers going for us this weekend, and they didn't really bat an eye at the crazy circumstances, especially today with the wind. But what I like most about his outing was kind of what we've had in similar outings. When the adrenaline got a little under control and he was just out there pitching, it was pretty dang good. His best inning was his last inning. We probably went to the bullpen quicker than we thought we would, just because there was a long delay in between the second and third inning, and we've got a lot of confidence in him. So I prefer to be winning games by more than 1 run, but he's a guy that we trust, pitching in games where it's a 1-run differential one way or the other.
What you learn about this team this weekend?
I think there's some guys that like to play, and hey, I'm a coach, so I like practice day and scrimmage days, but the bottom line is games aren't scrimmages, and you got to come out to hunt, and you got to come out to compete, and you got a guy like Breedlove there that finishes the game. He was better today than he was in any scrimmage since he's been here, and you'd like to coach, the world's greatest player, Kobe Bryant. They're the same guy every single day you're ever around them. But again, scrimmages aren't games, and regardless of temperatures or wind or any other set of circumstances you can come up with, you find out a lot about your guys on game day. And I think we got some guys that like to get in there and compete, and maybe there's even more. I don't want to know if it's depth. We'll find out by May if it's depth, but the bottom line is we got some puzzles to solve on what's the best combination of this guy in this spot or this guy in that spot.
17 different guys for you today. How are you managing getting this many guys in the game and with all this talent on the roster? How are you managing it?
It's a laugh. It's a sore topic. I was the guy that often was at the very, very end of the bench dying to get in. So I like to involve a lot of other guys. So do the other coaches. They almost to a fault work with every player the exact same way, just trying to get guys better regardless of what their role is on the team. But again, going back to me laughing, I messed something up today where I owe a guy an at-bat just because we were trying to make a bunch of changes in one spot. And we'll make it up to that guy. And at the same time, it's kind of nice when you see guys that are happy to see their buddy or their teammate go in their spot or just get in the game or do well. And then it kind of feeds itself, Then when those guys are out of the game, they're doing the same for whoever is in the game. And I thought the guys did a good job of being hooked up for, you sign up for 3 9-inning games, but it's what we got. You got 21 total innings. I thought they were hooked up for every inning is my point.
Jay played a little second, left field, came off the bench in all 3 games. What did you see from him that you liked?
Yeah, those swings that he took yesterday and then today that are line drives down the left field line or towards left field that are true. They don't have any fade to them. You have to be a good hitter and have a good swing to do that. And I think he just is truly that, a good hitter. Obviously, he's quick, so that speed will play at any position you put him at. He's got a good release. You saw him turn the double play in the outfield. Not as strong of an arm as Jordan Beck, but he can get rid of it as quick as lightning out there. So pretty versatile player we got on our hands. And, he was a kid like many of these freshmen that could have signed in the draft. The one thing we committed to him was he was a high school shortstop, like a lot of guys. By the time he's done here, we want to prove, him and the coaching staff combined want to prove that he's capable of playing shortstop at the next level. But I think for us, the 2 spots he'll fill the most are, left field and second base, and probably move him to center at some point too. But he's just finding his way defensively and getting better every day, which is fun to see.
Jay not starting, is that more about what he needs to show you or what other guys have already shown you?
Jay Abernathy? Me having a weird brain, sitting up in the office longer than I should and just kind of coming up with different stuff. I kind of like the idea of, we went with some older guys, if it was kind of close, try to get some mature guys out there. But I kind of like the idea you can pick a spot where he pinch runs in the middle of the game. You kind of give him a cheater start. Base stealers, Ricky Henderson, he's got to get on first base in order to steal second. So you can kind of give Jay a cheater start if somebody's already on base and you pinch run. Because he can play a bunch of different positions, I think we can do that throughout the year. But he, you guys were at scrimmages. He could very easily walk up to that office and say, I deserve to start, and all I could do is shake my head and say, you're right. But it's nice. We got some other guys that could do that too.
What do you like about Ryan Combs and potentially being your closer, if you want to label it that, this year?
Yeah, we just haven't done it since we've really been here. Crochet was kind of closing games his first year, but also we were trying to start them. And ever since then, we've kind of had this weird hybrid of, at the most, kind of 2 or 3 guys that we really trust at the end of the game. The old you can go home and sleep well regardless of how the result or outcome is. It was Hundley and Kirby and Redmond one year in particular. And college baseball, you may bring in a guy to finish the game in the 7th, and you don't have a guy that can just go every game out there in the 9th inning. So I think he's one that's put his hat in there. Teagan, some other guys where Sneed, when he's not starting, we fully trust them to be the final guy at the end of the game. And we'll see. I think along with some of these other things we're talking about, moving guys around, Jay starting, coming off the bench, we'll try a little bit of everything, and hopefully by conference play just have a better idea or understanding of what our best moves are.
Oh, one more guys. Why didn't Teagan throw this weekend?
He was sick. A lot of guys have gotten sick on our team, and I think a lot of people have gotten sick in Knoxville, unfortunately. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if it's the cold or what's going on. And he'd been floating around the facility, and he tried to come up here and get in uniform yesterday. And, we appreciate the competitiveness, but it's not the time of year to be pushing it. And also, we want to limit how many guys get sick. So when he comes back, he'll be chomping at the bit, and I look forward to it. He's a fun one to watch compete.
What about Loy?
He's a little bit further along in his throwing progression, but he's still a little bit of a ways where we put him out there in a game. You guys, I think, or guys who are on hand, saw him throw in a scrimmage, and he got a couple innings under his belt. We want to have a couple more times where he faces our hitters before we put him out there. And again, when it's those guys, like, no one's asked about AJ, but when it's those guys like AJ Russell or Crochet, when we went through it with him, they're always going to want to be out there before we put them out there, which is fine. You want guys that want to compete, but we're always going to play it conservative, especially as it relates to taking care of guys' bodies, whether it's Peebles, Fisher, Loy. But the time will be coming soon for him, which is great. And in the meantime, it allows us or forces us to use other guys, and maybe you see some stuff that Luke Payne, maybe he can be an outfielder after catching that pop-up. So maybe you see some stuff that you normally wouldn't.
So is it tough to kind of get a group of guys who are as good and as competitive as you want them to be, but also don't cause issues if they're not playing every inning?
No, it's a huge issue, or a huge topic amongst the coaching staff's meetings. It's a concern for me. I've told you guys before, like last year at the beginning of the year, one of my goals, I just wanted to come to work every day and be excited about it. And those guys took that to the nth degree. I'm winning some games, but also just it was fun. And it's difficult to do that in this day and age, to hand the baton off to somebody and have them pinch hit for you and be willing to, knuckle them up or whatever it might be. And then you can feel a vibe in the dugout when everyone's pulling for a guy. And if you don't have everybody doing that, it's negative. And, pregame in and out. I've been that guy where I'm starting and the other second baseman wants me dead, and you can feel it. It just doesn't work, and I don't know how you coach it. I try and sprinkle in some things. I think our guys pick up the vibe that when, our old players come back here, the first thing that's talked about is how they competed and what kind of teammate they were. It's not how many at-bats they got or how many stats they got, and those things are important. But what's more important is that camaraderie, and you get the sum being greater than the parts when a bunch of guys are doing that. And again, I could answer that question for 30 minutes or write a thesis on it because it's a delicate topic now with the portal. Family members. There's some family members that we got some tremendous families that are a part of our program, but sometimes you run into some people that think they're a CEO or they're the ones playing and it messes things up. And right now, these guys, I need something to be angry about in that category because they seem to be very low maintenance in that category and some others as of right now. So maybe we'll come up with something to yell at Sneed about or something.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.